Hey guys, Dr. B here. We're going to get rocking and rolling here in just a couple minutes. I'm going to give us just a couple more minutes here for anybody that's straggling to get on and get rolling. So hang tight. Make sure that you tag your friends, your family members, anybody else that you think could benefit from this event. Make sure that you tag them, that you share this with them so they can get plugged in. They can hear the information. If you know anybody with digestive issues, autoimmune conditions, metabolic syndrome, weight loss resistance, a history of cancer, Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, these sorts of things, any of these neurological toxicity issues, make sure that you share this with them so that they have an opportunity to plug in and start learning some information that could radically change their lives. So give us just a couple more minutes here. We're going to get rocking and rolling probably in about 2 minutes, guys. All right, guys, we're going to get started here. Welcome, everybody. I'm excited for you. Tonight, we're going through the Detox Project. So this is really a crucial topic, and oftentimes it gets overlooked when it comes to being healthy, living a healthy lifestyle, etc. We oftentimes will see patients or people in the community, they are super focused with their nutrition. They're really worried about what they're eating. They're exercising regularly. They're getting adjusted, they're taking care of their spine and their nerve system, but oftentimes we miss this toxicity component altogether. And so really, this becomes really an essential piece of the health puzzle, so to speak. That's why we call it one of our 5 essentials, is because it is essential to well-being. So many issues are tied to toxicity, and tonight we really want to dive into that and really start to address how these things are going about affecting each and every one of us in our lives, and really where these things are hiding, how it's affecting our health, and what can be done about it. How do we eliminate them from our bodies? How do we eliminate it from our lifestyle and get our health moving in the right direction? So as always, I ask anybody that's watching this, tag your friends and your family members that could benefit from learning how to live a healthier lifestyle. We're going to take a couple people at the end of this thing. We're going to go back and see who tagged their friends, who tagged their family, which of those friends and family members jumped on and watched part or all of the webinar. And we're going to select a few people, and we're going to give away some free products. So just a couple weeks ago, I guess it's been about 6 to 8 weeks ago, we did our first webinar. We picked out 2 ladies. They tagged like 10 friends, each of them, and several of their friends jumped on and got engaged in the webinar. They learned some things. They started asking some questions, and we were able to help those people out, moving their health in a better direction. So tag your friends and family members. We're going to go back at the end of all this, pick out a couple of winners, and give you guys some free products. So make sure that you take advantage of that. So as we get started here, looking at make sure my PowerPoint and everything's working. There we go. So why are we here? I mean, if we look at health in the last 30 years, across the country, there are certain ailments that are literally just turning into plagues for our society. We've got things like asthma and allergies and obesity. These sorts of things have tripled in the last 20, 30 years in our country. Obesity is triggering early diabetes and cancer and heart disease. We know that being overweight contributes to these things. We're going to show you how toxicity contributes to weight gain and weight loss resistance. We've got a whole new slew of ailments, these autoimmune diseases that if you go back 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, a lot of this stuff didn't exist. And it's not just that. Oftentimes the misconception is, well, we're better at diagnosing it, we have a better understanding now, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. No, the reality is that these things did not exist, at least not nearly in the widespread severity that they do today. And so we've got to understand that as a society, our health is slowly moving in the wrong direction. And one of those big components, one of the reasons for that, is this chronic toxicity, which is getting worse and worse. We've got thyroid conditions that are wreaking havoc on the female population. Autism is running rampant. And so, again, same thing. Where was autism 30 years ago? When I was a kid, nobody was autistic. There were no autistic kids in my community. And I didn't hear the word, I think, until maybe high school. And oftentimes, again, the argument is, well, we're better at diagnosing it. I will argue that point head on with anybody who wants to discuss it. We are not better at identifying or diagnosing autism. If you've ever been around a severely autistic kid, I can promise you no one was missing that 20 or 30 years ago. These kids weren't flying under the radar. We weren't unaware of their I hate to use the word limitations or disabilities because I hate that kind of talk because it's negative. And our whole goal is to never put limitations or negativity on our patients. It's to create hope and inspire change and lead them down a path of healing, because I've also seen these kids get well. I've seen improvements. I've seen 4-year-olds that can't talk use full sentences and just talking in full-on paragraphs, after a month of moving their health in the right direction. So, but again, 30, 40 years ago, autism was almost unheard of. Now it's 1 in 50. 1 in 50 kids in America has a neurodevelopmental disease or ailment. And here's the thing. People want to fight about what causes autism and who's responsible and what should we do about it and this, that, and the other thing. And a lot of people will, and this isn't the topic tonight, and I may touch on it a couple of times here and there. A lot of people want to debate that vaccines cause autism or they don't cause autism or whatever. I want to be very clear that I don't believe there is one cause to autism. I believe that autism is a neurotoxic disease, and there are multiple facets of our lifestyle that allow toxins to get into the body that affect the nerve system. Unfortunately, a lot of those toxins are found in vaccines. So is that the cause? No. Is it a contributor? I definitely think it is. And that's based on gobs and gobs of research. Again, that's not the topic tonight. There are just a ton of ailments that are caused by toxicity. And so what we're going to do is we're going to focus on where are these toxins hiding? How do we get them out of our lifestyles? How do we get them out of our bodies? And how do we get ourselves moving in the right direction? Let me see here. Make sure I don't miss any of my bullet points for you guys tonight. Okay, perfect. So moving on. It's not just genetics, guys. This is one of the things that we run into. So many people have been told it's genetic. I mean, if this is you, give me a thumbs up or a high five or something in the comments here. If you or someone has any kind of health condition and they've been told, oh, well, it's genetic. This is just something that you're going to have to deal with. Your mom had it, your dad had it, you're going to get it. Your grandma had it, your aunt had it, your sister had it, these sorts of things. Give me a thumbs up. Make a comment on here if that's you. If you know somebody that's been told that. Because what I'm here to tell you is that is a flat out lie. It's not true at all. So many of these ailments are not genetic, but yet we use that as a cop-out. We've got all kinds of research proving that it's not genetic, that it is actually environmental. And so we look at this research that in 2012 by the Environmental Working Group. It was called 10 Americans. And it was because it studied 10 Americans. So in these 10 Americans, they drew blood, and Of those 10 different blood samples, they found exactly 287 different toxins in the blood of these 10 people. 287 different toxins. And that was an average, across the board, there was an average of 200 different chemicals per subject, per person. They were things like, there were 28 waste products, so byproducts of manufacturing and so on and so forth. 47 consumer ingredients, things like Teflon and flame retardants. There were 212 industrial chemicals and pesticides, some of them which were banned 30 years prior, were being found in the blood samples of these individuals. Here's the thing. Those blood samples came from babies. Not just babies, they were newborn babies. It was actually fetal cord blood. So it was blood from the umbilical cord of babies. They found on average 200 toxic chemicals. These chemicals, again, some of them banned 30 years prior. These chemicals are related to 134 chemicals have been proven to cause birth defects. 154 of the chemicals they found are hormone disruptors, which can literally destroy normal function in your body for a lifetime. 186 linked to infertility. 130 immunotoxic, meaning it destroys your immune system. You can't fight off bacteria and viruses like you should, or cancer like you should. 158 neurotoxins. Again, we're looking at things like autism is on the rise, Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, these sorts of things that are 100% neurological in nature, and our babies are being exposed to it in utero. And we sit back and we wonder why we're getting sicker as a society. And what you've got to understand is that we are toxic at conception. We're not getting toxic after we're birthed into the world. We are toxic at conception. And this is essential to understand. If you're a young parent, if you're planning on having kids, if you're a parent or a grandparent, that you start working to help the young people in your lives detox their lifestyles and their bodies, because those toxins are going to be carried forward into their children, into their grandchildren. A lot of these things, if we don't start addressing this properly, will never get out of your system. They'll be there and they'll be passed down from one generation to the next. And this is called bioaccumulation. I did a teaser video a couple days ago about what is bioaccumulation and how is this affecting our health. Well, when we look at the health of our kids today in America, the toxins that moms and dads and grandmas and grandpas, the things that they were exposed to 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years prior, a lot of that stuff gets passed down. And this research from 2012 proves it. 200 toxic chemicals being passed down to these babies in utero. While they're trying to grow and develop, they're bombarded with chemicals that are affecting their neurology, that's affecting their hormones, that's affecting their immune system. And we've got to start addressing this. So again, that research, you can look that up. 2012 environmental working group called 10 Americans. You can look that research up for yourself and see exactly all the dangerous things that they found. So what else? Here's more research for you guys. 95%, whoops, got ahead of myself. 95% of all cancer is due to diet and the accumulation of toxins. University of Columbia School of Public Health. 95%. Like we just said, the last slide, it's not genetic. These are lifestyle diseases. Cancer is being caused by toxicity, not genetics. We've got genetic testing. We're cutting organs off or lopping off body parts in this country because some gene is supposedly responsible for cancer, and it's not actually backed up by the science and the data. 95%. I'll take my chances with my genetics on the other 5% if I can affect 95% of my outcome based on my lifestyle. And that's what this research from the University of Columbia was proving. Where does this stuff come from? How do we get all these toxins in our lifestyle? What does this look like? Well, here's one example. Just our drinking water, just the water that we drink, the water that in the shower, the water that, we're sprinkling on our lawns, that your kids are running through when they're running through the sprinkler system. High levels of lead were found in 2,000 water systems across the United States. 2,000 different municipalities, their water systems were tainted with lead. There is zero safe level of lead to be exposed to be ingested. And we're drinking this stuff. We're bathing in it. It's in our swimming pools. It's being sprinkled on our lawns, etc. We're brushing our teeth with this water in the morning, and there's lead levels in there. Collectively, this research, so these 2,000 water supplies, 6 million people in America were getting their drinking water from these 2,000 municipalities when this research was done. So this stuff is right in front of us, and we oftentimes don't know it. At least 180 of those 2,000 were completely failed to notify consumers about the high lead levels. This was published then in USA Today. 180 of those 2,000 municipalities never told anybody, never let anybody know. 350 of those municipalities were providing drinking water to grade schools and daycares. So your kids, again, are ingesting this stuff every single day if we don't know any better. And lead damages growing brains. It causes reduced IQs, attention disorders, behavioral problems, etc. And so we know, again, this is one of those neurotoxins. It's affecting neurology, our ability to learn, our ability to grow and develop. So again, we've got to recognize that this stuff is truly all around us, and we've got to start doing something different about it. So let's look at the most toxic place of all. Let's start right here, guys. Right between the ears, okay? Our minds are the most toxic thing on the planet right now. I mean, the average teenager today has more anxiety. Just the average healthy teenager has more anxiety than a psych ward patient in the 60s. The average family schedule today would cause a person living in the 50s to have a mental breakdown because of how crazy busy they are, because they've got so much going on. It was unfathomable, 50, 60, 70 years ago that we would have so many things going on, so many activities, so many places to be, instead of really focusing on what actually matters. Our minds are so bombarded now with constant input of data and information. The human attention span is now about 8 seconds. 8 seconds, which means in the time that I've been speaking, most of you have had like 47 other thoughts. 8 seconds. A goldfish, just for comparison, has an attention span of 9 seconds. We as a society now have an attention span less than that of a goldfish. That's kind of scary to think about. How are kids supposed to learn? How are we supposed to create meaningful relationships and have deep conversations when we can't focus for more than 8 seconds at a time? And so one of the things that I want everyone to do is figure out how to start detoxing mentally, first and foremost. So we look at the world we live in today. We've got the news and social media and the internet, and people are, again, information overload. Here's what I want you all to think about. I want you to figure out, how can you detox mentally for a little while? What can you do? Little things like turning off, like fasting from Facebook, like not getting on any social media for days, potentially weeks even. Just getting off of that stuff. I've done this at times. My wife has done this at times, and you would be amazed. You might think you're not on it very often. You'd be amazed the minute you take out your phone here, the minute you get this guy out and you take that app and you turn it off. You go in here, you get the notifications on your apps, right? The minute you turn off your notifications for your social media, the minute you delete the app and it's no longer there for you to easily just open it up and check it at the stoplight, to open it up and check it when the TV goes to a commercial, instead of chatting with your family, you start to realize just how addicted you are to this stuff. So I would challenge you, delete social media apps from your phone, block the notifications, schedule family time where you put your phones in another room. Family dinners where the phones are in another room. Date night with your spouse where you unplug from your phones and from your data devices. It's something my wife and I, we're not perfect at it, but we really work hard when we go out on date night, when we go to dinner together. We'll put the phones on silent, we'll put them in her purse, and we don't look at them for hours sometimes while we're out. So we can be focused, so we can spend time together and refresh our mind and not be bombarded with the negativity. I mean, look at the world we're dealing with right now. There's so much stuff going on between the COVID stuff and the riots and all these crazy things that are going on. And I'm not on here to say one way or the other what's right and wrong. All I'm saying is it's a ton of negative information being thrown at us. And at some point, we need to unplug and connect with people. And honestly, on a side note, that's probably what would eliminate a lot of this stuff from happening if people actually connected instead of getting on social media and being little keyboard warriors and yelling and screaming at each other and on Facebook. Let's actually connect with one human being to another because it's good for us. So figure out what works for you. Pick something. You don't have to do all those things I listed, but pick something and start detaching from some of these stresses in your life so that you can just enjoy life, enjoy people a little bit more. So top toxins, all right, that we've got to be aware of. Medication is the #1 toxicity in America today. More people are exposed to more medication than ever before. We've got to talk a little bit about that. And really what we need to do is get well so that we don't have the need for medication. We're going to talk about that. Household products, cleaning products, hand sanitizers, personal care products, these sorts of things. The cookware that you utilize, toxic cookware is an issue. The water that we drink, we mentioned that just a little bit before. There are also heavy metals, mold, and biotoxins. And then food, the stuff that we eat is essential, that we get good food in, that we're not putting more toxic stuff in with the food that we eat, and that we're actually detoxing our bodies by getting good, clean nutrients into our bodies that help get that stuff out. So let's dive right in. So #1, medications. Here's the thing. We look at it. Things that were once touted as miracle cures are now killing thousands of people. We look at Vioxx as one of the big ones. Just about everybody's heard of Vioxx. Killed tens of thousands of Americans before they ever took it off the market, right? Here's the thing. Always remember this. People tend to think that drugs are, if the FDA says it's safe, if the CDC says it's okay, if the AMA, if the US government, if they say it's okay, it must be fine, right? Because the FDA approved it. Just remember, every single drug that the FDA has ever pulled off the market because it killed thousands, because it has to kill a lot of people before they pull it off the market. Every drug the FDA ever pulled off the market, they first said, oh, it's safe and effective. We've done our research. It's perfectly fine. You can take this. It's going to be okay. And it wasn't until it killed a few thousand people, they said, oops, we made a mistake. We better take that off the market. You can't watch TV for 20 minutes without seeing at least one commercial for have you or a loved one been injured by, right? Did you have a surgery that went bad because of an implant? Did you have a bad reaction to this drug or that drug? Or do you have permanent damage? Did someone you love died? We've got to recognize why that is. So every single drug on the planet has side effects. You have to understand this. And they're not, I don't even like the term side effects. They're just effects. It's just what the drug does to the human body. Whether you feel it or not, whether it's an outward symptom, whether you're conscious of it or not, this is happening. This is happening to your body. Every drug has to be metabolized and detoxed. So as we talk about toxicity, we've got to understand that if our body's burning up all of its energy and antioxidants, getting medication and drugs and things out of the body, then it doesn't have much left to get all the other stuff that the world is throwing at us out of our bodies. What sort of side effects are we talking about with these sorts of drugs? Well, on any given medication, especially as we look at some of the things like antidepressants, which is one of the largest categories of drug being prescribed today, we've got side effects such as suicide, violence, nausea, insomnia, anxiety, decreased sex drive, fatigue, hormone damage, headaches. And here's another thing. I said violence a minute ago. Every mass shooting in the US, the shooter was on these sorts of medications, every single one. And so we're taking these drugs to try and offset some sort of symptom, and they're creating all of these other problems. And we've got all these side effects, right? And we're robbing Peter to pay Paul. And here's the thing. How do we treat the side effects? More drugs, right? Oh, doc, I started taking XYZ. I've been getting headaches. What do you think that is? Oh, that's a common side effect. Here, take these headache pills now, right? This stuff happens all the time. Every single day, I have patients that come into my office and I see they're on a slew of medications. And I'm like, what is with all these drugs? And we start looking at it. We start talking about it. We dig in. And we find out that 2 or 3 of them are offsetting the side effects of the first 2, 3, 4 drugs that they were taking. And so now we've got, again, toxic overload because we're managing all of these symptoms. None of this is getting us healthy. All of this is making us sicker, causing more toxicity to the body. And so again, every drug has side effects. Couple simple examples. Tylenol is the #1 cause of acute liver failure in the US. The #1 reason that you or a loved one would have an acute failure of your liver is because you took Tylenol. Over the counter, anybody can get it, but it's known to cause acute liver failure. Every drug on the planet shuts down a natural process of the body. Tylenol stops fever. It's a fever reducer. What is a fever? Well, it's your body's natural immune response to kill off a bacteria or a virus or something like this, right? So why would we ever want to suppress our body's natural function? That's what every single drug does, is it stops a natural metabolic pathway, a natural normal function in order to mitigate a symptom, not to get healthy, not to get well, to mitigate symptoms. So last thing here. I'm not saying stop taking all your medications. Please don't hear me wrong. If you're on a prescription medication, you need to get well. You need to work with your doctors to reduce the need for that medication. You need to come off of those things safely. Okay? But if your only answer is drugs, you're moving in the wrong direction. If your doctor is trying to put you on another medication instead of reduce you from the need of medication, then you are working with the wrong doctors. You need to be finding doctors who are trying to work with your body to get you well, to get you healing, and need less drugs, not more drugs. If you go to your doctor and you say, I'd like to stop taking this, I'd like to get well and get off of this medication, whatever it is, and they say, no, that's never going to happen, you can't do that, then you need to find a new doctor, because you're never going to get well under the care of a doctor who says you have to take this for the rest of your life. Might you need to take it for the rest of your life? Is that possible? In some instances, maybe. But if your doctor's unwilling to even try and help you move your health in the right direction, find a different doctor. That's my personal preference. So here's the thing. At the end of the day, drugs don't get you well. Your body's designed to heal. We've got to get you healing in the right direction. Drugs and other toxins interfere with your body's natural healing ability, and that's not what we want. So moving on. Next step here. Toxins that live in your house. Lots of toxic chemicals that we get exposed to on a daily basis. And let me see here. Checking my comments real quick. Good. Okay. Good to see everybody on here. Perfect. Wanted to make sure I didn't have any specific questions, and I'll make sure I get back to all your comments, guys. If you've got questions, make sure you post them. But I will make sure that that I get to all of those when we're all wrapped up here. I'll make sure I comment and reply to all those. So here we go. Toxins that live in our house. Stuff that's right in front of us. Things like our personal, or not our personal products, our cleaning products, as the picture shows there. We use these things to get rid of, bacteria, viruses, clean things up, have a clean sanitary environment, so on and so forth. And that's all well and good. The problem is there's a right way and a wrong way to do it. And there's a lot of nasty stuff in some of these different products. So DEA, I'm going to try and pronounce this right, diethanolamine, is found in over 600 home products, home care products, so cleaning products, and personal care products such as soap, lotion, cosmetics, bubble baths, laundry and dishwashing detergent, etc. Well, DEA was found to produce cancer in animal studies. That's U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, National Toxicity Program. They know that, but yet it's still in a lot of our products, right? And so we've got to find these things and get them out. We've got to find cleaner, more natural alternatives to these harsh, toxic chemicals that we use to clean things up. I mean, here's the thing. You'd never brush your teeth with antifreeze, would you? Right? It's kind of a rhetorical question. Obviously, no one would ever want to do that. But propylene glycol, that's the next chemical we want to talk about. It's a major ingredient in things like vaccines, cosmetics, toothpaste, shampoo, deodorant, lotion, processed foods. It causes kidney and liver damage, abnormal skin cell growth, damaged cell membranes, which is a contributing factor to cancer, immune and nerve system damage. So your immune system gets weakened, your nerve system gets damaged. So again, we're talking about neurological disorders, kids with autism, learning disabilities, behavioral disorders. We've got elderly with Alzheimer's, dementia, and Parkinson's. All of these neurological things are affecting that. Kidney and liver damage. Well, guess what your kidney and your liver are supposed to do? Detox your body. When we've got these harsh chemicals that are damaging those organs, guess what you can't do anymore? You can't detox. You can't cleanse like you should. So we've got to work on that. Some of these things are what's called a xenoestrogen. So xenoestrogens are chemicals that mimic estrogen in the body. And so your body actually starts to respond to these chemicals as if the hormone estrogen was present. And this creates a shift in our hormone balance. And so our hormones get thrown out of whack. And we've got men who are estrogen dominant. Their testosterone and estrogen levels have switched. Instead of being testosterone dominant, they're essentially estrogen dominant, not necessarily because they actually have more estrogen, but because they're being exposed to these toxic chemicals that mimic estrogen. And again, these things cause liver abnormalities, skin cell growth inhibition. So essentially, wounds don't heal and things like that. We've got damaged cell membranes. We've got central nerve system depression. So you're suppressing the nerve system from firing on all cylinders, and this can lead to serious problems. We've got things like SLS, sodium lauryl sulfate, in our cleaning products. It's a degreaser. It's used in nearly every soap, shampoo, and toothpaste on the planet. And the Journal of the American College of Toxicology found that SLS causes heart, liver, lung, and brain damage. And this is what you brush your teeth with. This is what you put in your hair when you take a shower. This is what you wash your hands with a lot of times. SLS is a degreaser, and it's what makes it really super bubbly. When you just take a regular thing of soap and you start washing your hands and it bubbles big time, that's because of SLS. So what we got to do is find cleaner, less toxic versions of our cleaning products, of our soaps and our shampoos and so on and so forth. And so what I want to make sure that I do for each of you guys here tonight that's watching this is I want you to have resources for cleaner, healthier products. I'm going to throw a couple of different ones at you here between this slide and the next couple of slides. So on the ticker here, you can see on the bottom, and I'm actually going to take that off there for one quick second. I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to paste it in the comments as well. Good. Oop. Give me 1 second, guys. I apologize. There we go. Good. Got it. And I'm going to put this in the comments as well for you guys. So this is one of our providers of clean resources. So it's a company called Melaleuca. They are fantastic when it comes to a lot of these cleaning products that you would use around your house, soap, shampoo, again, things that you would use to clean your kitchen cleaners, your bathroom cleaners, things like that. Leanne is fantastic. She can answer all your questions. So I've posted her contact info, her website, and her email in the comments, and it's scrolling across the bottom there. Reach out to her if you're looking for alternatives to clean your house. Again, they've got all kinds of products. She can explain all of that to you. But she's fantastic, and she's got great resources. I'm going to share a couple of people's contact information for y'all to reach out. Just a caveat. I make nothing off of this. I get nothing from sharing their information. I simply want you to have the resources. It wouldn't make a whole lot of sense for us to jump on here and give you all this info about where all these toxins are, but not give you any alternatives. There are resources that you can get at your grocery store that are cleaner. Again, the things that I'm listing off: SLS, DEA, propylene glycol. A simple step would be make sure those things aren't in your products if you're buying them at the store. If you want some more specific guidance, the people that I'm going to share with you and their contact information, that's exactly what they do, is guide people through this. So reach out to those people. So again, Leanne is great with a lot of the household products. And she's got a lot of other stuff too that I'll let her talk to you about if you choose to do so. But that's great. So we've got to get better cleaning products for our homes. We've got to make a shift there. So this is just a simple lateral move. These aren't big changes, guys. A lot of times people are worried about living a healthier lifestyle. It's harder. It takes more time. It costs more money. That's not necessarily true. We're going to try and get some people in your lives that can give you some resources to make this a lot easier. So moving on to the next slide, I want to talk about personal care products. So these are the things specifically that you're using on your body. Again, soap, shampoo, makeup for the ladies, etc. So the largest organ in the human body is not actually in the body. It's on the body. It's your skin. It is an organ. It has a purpose. It's there to filter out the stuff that the world throws at us. It's immediately meant to keep some of the toxins out by being resistant to that, by blocking it from getting into your body. Here's what happens though, is a lot of this stuff can actually get soaked into your skin. You put lotion on, where does it go? It doesn't just evaporate and dry up. Why do you put lotion or moisturizer or something like that on? To get soaked in to the tissue and bring in that moisture, bring in those nutrients. The problem is it's oftentimes bringing a lot of toxic, harsh chemicals with it as well. And so these ingredients are all over the place. So we look at this, and especially when it comes to making healthcare decisions and things like that, most of the time moms are the ones making these decisions. So if we look at the average American woman, on average, don't shoot the messenger. If I'm wrong, if I'm overshooting the mark a little bit, here's the thing. We've got a average American woman is using 12 personal care products per day on her body, which exposes her to 160 to 170 different harmful chemicals on average. We've got lipstick on average, 33 different harsh chemicals. Body lotion, 32 components. Mascara uses 20 different components. Perfumes can have upwards of 200 to 400 different harsh chemicals that are utilized to create these fragrances. And so we're exposing our body to all of these harsh chemicals, all in the name of smelling good, of trying to look a little bit better, etc. And these sorts of things can really just tear our bodies apart. We've talked about some of them are neurotoxic. Some of them affect our hormones. And so when you affect your nerve system and your hormones, that's it, game over. Health is out of the question if you've got a damaged nerve system and you've got a damaged hormone system, your endocrine system, your hormones are out of whack. Nothing's going to function right if those two things are thrown out of whack. If one of them's out of whack, it's going to be very difficult to even feel good. You can forget about truly being well, but even feeling good is going to be difficult. You get both of them damaged with all these chemicals, it's no wonder we've got an onslaught of autoimmune conditions. It's no wonder we're sicker than we've ever been. It's no wonder our kids are sicker than they've ever been. And again, it starts in utero. These kids are being exposed. These babies are literally growing and developing in a toxic environment because of everything that moms and dads and grandmas and grandpas have been exposed to, and they were passing it down generation to generation. Remember that term, bioaccumulation. This is what's happening to us. So we want to make sure, again, that we're really looking at eliminating these toxic chemicals from our personal care products. So again, I'm going to share another one of our wonderful resource providers, someone that we work with here in the community. So Neals Yard Remedies, Lynn Wright, that's her website, and her phone number. You can text her. Don't call, guys. Shoot her a text. Just let her know you're interested, or check out her website. But again, lots of personal care products, different things that you might be able to utilize to start eliminating the need for all of these harsh chemicals that you're putting on your body, especially for the ladies. So side note, I know this just because I see it in my bathroom at home. I know that the makeup products, the picture here, the young lady putting something on her face here, the makeup products are so toxic. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. I was doing research for this webinar, and we're talking about literally, hundreds of harsh chemicals in your makeup, your foundation alone. I read a whole article about foundation for women and the number of harsh chemicals and the way that it affects, skin development, the way that it affects the nerve system, the way that it can lead to cancers and so on and so forth. And yet we're putting this stuff all over our body. And some of that stuff is banned in other countries, yet here in the States, it's just running rampant. So I know, again, for my wife, the makeup product that she uses, often has, or at least one of them, is called Mineral Fusion. Mineral Fusion. You can get that at places like Sprouts and Natural Grocers. So Mineral Fusion for the ladies that want to write that down and look into it. And again, if you've got questions on that, I'm not the perfect person to answer the makeup questions, but I do have a wife. I have several ladies that work here at the office that would love to help answer those questions and make sure that we're getting you guys moving in a healthier direction, along with some of the resources that we're sharing. So again, Lynn Wright with Neals Yard and so on. So the next thing I want to talk about, I'm going to shoot another one of our community partners up there. And this young lady is just fantastic, Miss Dana Jacobson with Young Living. So if you're familiar with essential oils, you may know a lot about that already. If you don't and you're interested, reach out to Dana. She has been part of our Max Living family for like 4 or 5 years now. She's just amazing. She's got 3 amazing kids. And so reach out to her. So Young Living, again, here's why I wanted to bring them up. You can use essential oils for all kinds of stuff, perfume, cleaning products, and so on and so forth. One of the big things I want to hit on with personal care products here is hand sanitizer. So right now we've got this, we're on hopefully the tail end of this whole COVID nonsense, and everybody's been freaking out and super focused on hand sanitizer everywhere, wipe everything down, antibacterial, this, that, and the other. One of the major ingredients in antibacterial soaps, hand sanitizers, and disinfectant like sprays and things is triclosan. Triclosan is an endocrine disruptor, meaning it interrupts hormone function, which can directly affect the brain, our immune system, our reproductive system, and our nerve system. Specifically, triclosan has been shown to affect our thyroid. It affects testosterone and estrogen regulation, which again creates a lot of crazy issues like early onset puberty for kids, poor sperm motility for males, infertility in women, obesity, and cancer. And so we also see that this stuff has been shown, studies show that it impairs learning and memory. It can exacerbate, it can worsen allergies, it can weaken muscle function. It can even cause permanent damage in early development. So you talk about fetal development, again, in utero. We started there with the conversation tonight. It can be really severe if these kids are exposed to it when they're little, or again, if you're using all this stuff constantly and it's getting all over your body, you're absorbing that into your skin, right? You're spraying some of this stuff everywhere you go to disinfect and sanitize everything, and chances are you may be inhaling some of that. If you pass that on to your children in utero, right? This goes for you too, dads. It gets into your system and you can pass it on. And especially for moms, this stuff can cause permanent damage to the development of children. It also causes this triclosan and these crazy antibacterial everythings can cause antibiotic resistant germs, right? Every year we're dealing with more and more antibiotic resistant bacteria. This has become a major issue in the United States. The problem is, what are we doing about it? Nothing. We're just trying to develop stronger drugs instead of stronger immune systems. Why don't we get us stronger? Why don't we stop putting chemicals in that suppress immune function, that suppress endocrinology, that suppress our nerve system, and we start getting well? 23,000 people die every year in the US because of an antibiotic-resistant infection, and we've created that. We've created it by constantly bombarding the world with antibiotics and antibacterial everything and sanitizer this and so on. And the bacteria and the viruses, they just adapt. They just mutate. Look at COVID, right? It's a mutation of the coronavirus. There's whatever, a dozen or half a dozen or several dozen versions of the coronavirus. COVID-19 is supposedly so incredibly dangerous. It's just a mutation. We worsen that scenario when we over sanitize, when we over suppress our immune system. And so we're much better allowing our body to come into contact with some of these things. And if we choose to clean and detox, which we should do, if we're choosing to clean and wash things and disinfect, then we've got to use some of these cleaner products. So again, contact Melaleuca with Leanne, contact Neals Yard with Lynn, reach out to Dana with Young Living, reach out to all of them. If you're new to this, reach out to all of them, gather a little info, have them shoot you some stuff. They've got pamphlets and emails and booklets and whatever, websites that they can send you to get on there and do some research and then ask us your questions as well. We're here for you. We want to be a resource to help you all get moving in the right direction. So moving on, next topic that I want to talk about with you guys about toxicity is your pots and pans. Real quick, Teflon. Most people know Teflon's toxic. Most people know it's bad for you. This sort of stuff has been banned in many other countries. Yet we know that it causes ADD and ADHD. It can lead to other childhood development issues. So again, all the autism and all the things that we're talking about. It can lead to liver and pancreas issues. It can lead to testicular and breast cancers. Ladies, it specifically damages thyroid hormone. So again, we've got to think about what are we cooking our food in, right? If we're using cheap cookware, then we're probably exposing ourselves to additional toxins unnecessarily. So we want to look at what we're using. The other issue is, again, if it's cheap, heavy metals can be leaching in. So not just the fact that the non-stick stuff is scraping off into our food potentially, but then the metals themselves, we're heating them up, we're scorching them, etc. They can actually start to leach into the food just little by little and actually make us sick. So at the very least, stainless steel is going to be one of your best options. Okay, that's going to be a good one that you can, go get just about anywhere. It's a good option that you can get at the store. However, if you're looking for the top option, then I'm going to recommend, let me do this for you guys. I apologize. I'm going to copy and paste our other community partners' contact info. I only did that with one so far. There we go. There is Neals Yard with Lynn Wright, or Lynn Wright with Neals Yard, I should say. There's that one. Give me 1 second, guys. I want to give you Dana's info here. So if you're watching this later, or if you're not able to write that stuff down that fast because it's scrolling across the bottom, here's Dana's contact with Young Living and her essential oils. again, all of these three ladies are fantastic, guys. Love them to death. And they're going to take great care of you if you have questions and you need guidance with some of this stuff. So we've got those. Now I want to show you our next one here related to cookware. If you've been to any of our live events over the years, you may have met this guy, Steve Cavazos. He is awesome. He's with Salad Master, and they have some of the best non-toxic cookware on the planet. This is what we use in my house, is Salad Master. So it kind of looks like this stuff. It's basically stainless steel, but it's surgical steel. So it's whatever you want to call it, therapeutic grade surgical steel, whatever. Steve will give you the exact right notes there. But this is some of the best stuff. So again, you want to be able to cook. And not only that, this stuff allows you to actually conserve nutrients when you cook, which is awesome. So reach out to Steve. What's great about Steve is he'll come to your house. He'll do a demonstration and cook you dinner for you and a couple of guests at absolutely no cost. And you get to see the product. And if you like it, you know, they'll show you their options. They'll break down some different sets that they have and show you what you can purchase so you can start cooking with cleaner pots and pans. Not only that, I mean, the stuff really is fantastic. I mean, it's kind of silly how excited I get about that stuff, but it's really great. So contact Steve. There's the Facebook group. You can go to their Facebook page, ask for Steve specifically. For all of these people, if you reach out to them, just let them know Dr. B sent you, and they're going to take absolutely great care of you. But again, if you're looking for better pots and pans so you're not getting heavy metals, you're not getting Teflon scraped off into your food, Salad Master and Steve are the way to go. So make sure you get that info and reach out to them. Okay. Moving on to the next one. We talked about this a little bit earlier, but I want to circle back around real quick because there's other aspects of our drinking water. So unfiltered tap water. There are 250 million pounds of active drugs. So medication that has active effects, should it be reconsumed, are flushed into our drinking system, which eventually ends up back in your tap water. There's been all kinds of research over the years that's showing that we've got fish that are on antidepressants, that we've got fish that are on therapeutic hormone medications and these sorts of things. And so all of this sort of stuff is getting into our water supply. Well, guess what? Then you're drinking it. So you're literally taking drugs that you didn't know about oftentimes if you're not filtering your water effectively. Fluoride is used in our drinking water in the U.S. So once we thought it was helpful in preventing tooth decay, of course, the World Health Organization has come out and said fluoride doesn't help prevent tooth decay. That's not actually true. This has been done many times by the World Health Organization. And so in Belgium and Denmark, Finland, France, Germany, Luxembourg, Norway, and Sweden, fluoride is banned completely. They don't use it. They don't use it in dental fields. They don't use it in their drinking water. Yet in the U.S., it's all over the place. You go to the dentist, they want to know if you want a fluoride treatment. You go get, again, in our drinking water, it's treated with fluoride. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, states that 93%, you have a 93% higher risk of developing cancer if you're drinking unfiltered, fluoridated water on a regular basis versus someone who's drinking clean filtered water, spring water, etc. So 3 major problems here with our drinking water. Chlorine is also in the water. It reacts and produces chloroform and trihalomethane, which is a toxic form of methane gas. And you inhale this stuff. So this is in your drinking water. This is in your shower water. Both of these products are known to cause cancer by oxidizing cholesterol, which throws your hormones out of balance and limits your body's healing potential. Again, we just talked about fluoride and where it's banned and the cancer risk. So we've got to get this stuff out of our system. The other thing with this is I mentioned just briefly, in the shower, you expose yourself to 25 gallons of water when you shower. And so again, we talked about if it gets on your skin, chances are a portion of it's getting into your body. And then when you take a hot shower, right, the steam is being inhaled. And we talked about how that creates chloroform and trichloroethylene or trichloroethylene versus trihalomethane, right? Carcinogens. You're inhaling it the whole time you're in the shower. So if you like to take a hot shower, but you've got all of these chemicals that are coming in, it can make you sick. So two things. Number one, get a reverse. Biggest and best thing you can do is get an in-home filtration system. There's all kinds of companies out there. The one that we currently have at my house is called Eco Water. I'm going to run that across the banner here for you. There you go. Boom. Eco Water. Simple. You can look it up. There's several different ones, guys. Here's the big thing. I'm going to edit that. The big thing is it has to be reverse osmosis. This is what you need. Eco Water. Reverse osmosis is the key. There are several companies. Eco Water is the company that I have. Again, I get nothing if you call Eco Water. But reverse osmosis is the key. You've got to have a reverse osmosis component. This is what gets the biggest majority of gunk out of the water, out of your drinking water, the stuff you cook with, out of the shower water, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This is the way to go. You can get these whole home filtration systems, and the water just gets filtered when it comes into the house. Now, if you can't go quite that far, there are under the sink filtration systems that are a little bit cheaper. And it just filters your drinking water and the water that you cook with and so on. It's not going to filter, the water in the bathroom, your shower water, etc. For that, you can also go to like Home Depot or Lowe's, and you can get a $45, $50 inline shower filter. I believe it's called Clean Water Reverse Osmosis is one of the options. I think that's the brand. But again, you can go to Home Depot, go to Lowe's, go to one of these places and just say, hey, I need a reverse osmosis shower filter. Someone's going to be able to help you find it. And you just basically take your shower head off, you screw this filter in, and it filters the water as it comes through before it hits your body. So you're going to get a lot of this stuff out of your system by simply doing that. Okay, moving on from there. So, toxins in our homes. It's estimated that 50 to 100 types of mold are in our homes, right, that have the potential to create health problems. And we're exposed to this sort of stuff if we've got mold or mildew. Everybody knows about black mold and is scared of that. But if you've got, you need to do some simple things. You need to look under your kitchen sink, look under your bathroom sinks. Is there any sort of moldy, mildew, musty smell under there? Then you need to have that checked. You need to get that looked at and make sure that you're cleaning that up. You can't just bleach away the black mold like some people think you can. You've got to make sure that you're getting rid of this stuff because it can really wreak havoc on your body. So look under your bathroom sinks. Look under your kitchen sink. Check around your tubs. Do you have any mold or mildew or swollen boards or floorboards or anything like that? Oftentimes that water can get in there, especially if you like my kids, they take a bath, it's like a freaking hurricane in there, water everywhere. So make sure that you're taking a look at these things. If you see or suspect that water is damaging your walls or your floors, you want to start getting those things looked at and taken care of so that it doesn't turn into mold and mildew and all these things that can create health problems. So what do we do about all this? We've got all these crazy things in our world that are being thrown at us. What are we supposed to do? I mean, you're probably sitting there like, Jesus, Dr. Brian, you've thrown a million things at us. You've given us a couple alternatives, but it sounds like our bodies have probably been bombarded with toxins over our lifetime. What are we supposed to do about that? Well, this is why we have our 2-part detox system. So the detox kit that we have is really amazing. I'm sure there's people on here that have done a cleanse of some sort. You've done a colon cleanse, a liver flush, something like this. And those things are all well and good. Anytime that you're doing something positive for your health, getting toxins out, getting nutrients in, that's a good thing. But here's what we have to take a look at. A lot of these toxins get into our system and they can't get out. Our bodies have a hard time processing, metabolizing some of these toxins and getting rid of them. So what do? Well, our body, again, is brilliant. It's designed to protect us. So it will take those toxins and it will move them into are fat cells. And the fat cell acts like an insulator. So we get the toxin inside the fat cell, and the fat cell insulates it. Now it protects the body from any harmful effects of that toxic chemical. The problem is it stays there. And while it may be insulated, it's not necessarily perfect, and some things could still potentially happen. It could still cause problems, and not every toxin gets put in a fat cell. So we have twofold. We've got these chemicals that get into the body. Some of them can affect our neurology, our hormones. They like to attach to the nerve system. They like to attach to important organs like your thyroid and create problems. And those problems are going to persist as long as those toxins are there. The other thing is, again, we push it into fat cells and it becomes an insulator. Well, guess what? Your body doesn't want to let go of that fat cell as long as that toxic chemical is still there, because it knows the minute that it breaks down that fat cell and starts burning it off so you can lose weight or whatever, that toxic chemical is going to get re-exposed to the body, and now it's going to cause the negative effects. So your body is smart in holding on to that fat and not letting go. And so with our detox system, it's two parts. Part one, it gets into the cells, it gets into the organs, it gets into the tissues, it gets into those fat cells, and it pushes that toxin out so that it can now be bound up. If you're doing a liver flush, a colon cleanse, a kidney flush, something like that, that's all well and good, but it's not going to get all of these toxins that are bound up inside the cells. It's not going to get them out of the body. And so how do we get it out of the body? Well, we get that out of the body with our detox kit. And so we use the detox system to get these things out. And the way that this works is the cell detox goes into the cells, and it's going to push those toxins out so that it's now able to be bound up. And then you take the second part of the detox kit later in the day, and that will actually then bind it up so that it doesn't get reabsorbed into a cell or pushed back into a fat cell. It now binds it up, and then you just flush it out with your normal detoxing pathways. It goes through your liver, it goes through your colon, you flush it out just like you would any other waste product in your body. And so it's very gentle and very easy. This isn't sitting in the bathroom all weekend. You don't have to, push the TV over where you can see it, or set your laptop in the bathroom because you're going to be there all weekend. This is very simple. It's 2 capsules in the morning. It's 2 capsules in the evening. It's very gentle, very calm. You're not going to notice any major effects, negative effects from it. You may start to notice some really positive effects. You may notice improved energy, sleep. You may notice all these great things when you start getting these toxins out of your body. Are there some potentially negative effects? Possibly. You might feel a little fatigued at first. You might get some headaches as your body's detoxing from different things. But this is all just part of your body's healing process. And so getting that detox kit is really one of the easiest first steps to moving you in the right direction. And so I want to, give me a second, guys. I want to post that link for you guys so you can see that. Give me 1 second here. I think I'm going to have to, give me a second, guys. There we go. I gotcha. Get that link over here for you guys. Put it in the comments. So this is the link directly to purchasing the detox kit. So you guys can see that. And I'll get that back up here in just a second. I'm going to copy this other one that I need to send you as well. Good. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. Little snafu. If that's the worst thing that happens tonight, we did good. So, can't see y'all. There we go. Now I can see again. Perfect. All right. So that is for our detox kit. All right. Now, here's the thing. This is great. The detox kit, just for you guys that are watching, a couple of things. Again, it's gentle, it's easy, it's safe, it's effective. You're not going to have a bunch of negative effects. I suggest maybe you're a patient that's been a patient for a while and you've never done a detox or you haven't done one in a while, I suggest you do it at least a couple times a year. Quarterly is great. At a minimum, you do 1 or 2 a year, and this is 30 days, 2 capsules in the morning, 2 capsules at night. Side caveat, if you do notice any negative effects, you're feeling really crummy, really sluggish, really just like, I don't think I can push through this. Again, it's 2 capsules in the morning and 2 capsules at night. Cut the dosage in half. You're going to get the same detoxing effect over 60 days instead of in 30 days. So very simple thing that you can do there. Here's the next thing for you guys. Let's not forget about the kids. We talked about it at the very beginning. Our kids are being exposed to toxins literally from the minute of conception. They're being developed and grown in potentially in a toxic environment. So we want to start detoxing kids. Then they get exposed to stuff the minute they're born. We're putting chemicals on them. If you're a hospital birth, they're putting this cream on their face right away. They're scrubbing them with soap and water. They're potentially injecting them with vaccines and these sorts of things. And, all these chemicals get into the body. Then we take them home. Who knows what we're eating, what we're feeding, lotions, all sorts of stuff. If they're formula fed, there's a lot of stuff that they get exposed to. Start detoxing your kids right away. We want to make sure that we're giving their bodies the opportunity to be healthy and be well. So hold on, I think I see a question there. We've used the detox for the kids. How often do you use that? So great question, Dana. The kids detox, part of it depends on the kids themselves. It's super gentle. I just put a little scoop of it. Like you said, you've used it before. You just put a little scoop into your smoothie. So this is a powder for those of you who haven't used it before. It's a powder. It comes a little teeny tiny scoop where you get like a quarter of a teaspoon or something as a serving. And I just put that in my kids' smoothie every day. We do it almost pretty consistently. We're detoxing. Again, that's my family. At the bare minimum, what I would suggest is one of these quarterly, per kid. So for you, Dana, 3 kiddos, grab 3 of these and put a scoop in each of their smoothie every day. And you can do that, every few months until it's out, and then wait a couple of months and you can do it again. So just cleansing and detoxing on a regular basis is the key. It doesn't necessarily have to be every single day, but we want to be semi-regularly with it. So regular with it. So quarterly, again, at the bare minimum, twice a year is what I suggest for all people, that they go through one of these little detoxes. So whether it's a detox kit for an adult or going through the detox powder for the kids. So again, this is great for even little kids. Like my daughter and my son, we were using this on them, at like a year old when they started doing their smoothie. We're putting their multivitamin in it. We're putting their kids' omega in it, vitamin D, and we're putting their detox powder in it regularly to start pulling that junk out. I love what you said there, Dana. They didn't even know it, right? The kids don't even realize it's there. You put it in a smoothie and they love it. So getting all that stuff out. Perfect. So moving on. So make sure, again, get online. You can pick those products up. I think, here you go. Let me paste. There you go. There's the kids product. So if you just go to the first link that I showed you, that's going to give you the detox. But this one takes you directly to the kids detox. Either way, you're going to get what you need there. So if you go to the detox and then just look at that, you can also just go back and get to the kids detox. But either way, if you're looking for one specifically or the other, you've got the link there. I want to make sure that you guys have that. But don't forget about your kids, guys. Sometimes we get so caught up in ourselves because we're sick. We've got XYZ symptom. We're worried about this problem or that problem. Start your kids now. Start your kids now. I mean, if you knew you could do something to invest in making sure that your kids didn't struggle, suffer, deal with sickness, disease, financial problems because of health problems, man, and it's so easy as a scoop of detox, some vitamins, things like that, getting them adjusted. It's so easy. Start investing in your kids for sure. I know, I know we all love our kids. We do anything for them. Make that little investment. Your kids will, one day they'll thank you when they're old enough to understand it and they see their friends and other people around them getting sick. They will love you and thank you for investing in their health. I can promise you that. So moving into nutrition here, we're gonna spend just a few minutes real quick. We've got to understand that healthy nutrition is important. Why? Nutrition is it's a what's the word I'm looking for? It's not just, well, I eat good versus I eat bad. It's a major swing in the other direction. So you're not just putting toxins in when you eat poorly, you're also minimizing nutrients. On the flip side, when you start eliminating toxic food and start eating nutrient-dense food, you're getting the nutrients you need and you're eliminating the junk that you don't. So what does this look like? A couple of things I'm talking about. 30 million tons of pesticides are used around the world every single year. 30 million tons. I mean, think about that. That is literally a ton. It's a lot of stuff. And so we've got to understand that these things are incredibly, incredibly toxic. We're spraying all this stuff right on our food. If you're eating conventional food, then you're consuming this stuff. And a lot of this stuff has been banned in other countries. A lot of this stuff has even been banned here in the US, like DDT and things like that. But yet we're still finding those sorts of things, again, in blood work on people. We're finding it in the soil. We're finding it in water because this stuff doesn't break down. The half-life on this stuff is like hundreds of thousands of years. It just doesn't deteriorate. And so it's still present in our soil and in our food supply. And so we've got to think about what we're eating and make sure we're doing everything we can to avoid toxins. So what is the biggest issue when it comes to food? What is a GMO, genetically modified organism? This is where we manipulate the DNA of a food product, of a plant or a vegetable or whatever. And we're splicing genes together that would not normally be found spliced together. This would never happen in nature. Two plants that would never cross-pollinate on their own, we're doing it in a laboratory somewhere and it completely changes the DNA. Our body doesn't recognize it as food. And the biggest reason that we're doing this is not because it's supposed to increase nutrition or create some more sustainable plant or crop. We're doing this by changing the DNA so that the crop can be sprayed with pesticides and herbicides and things like this and not die. And so we're changing the DNA of our food so we can cover it in pesticides or herbicides and the plant won't die. And then we ingest all of that. So we're getting abnormal DNA, we're getting toxic chemicals, and we're getting sicker because of it. 50 countries, including France, Germany, and Italy, have restricted the sale of GMOs. There are many countries that do not import grain from the US anymore because because it's like 95% genetically modified. So they just won't accept grain from us anymore, right? Which is one of our biggest exports is grain. And so what do they know that we don't know? Well, we know it's toxic. We're just, sort of being misled by the agencies that are supposed to take care of it. So quick research study for you guys. So here's the research study that was done where food companies said, look, we've tested GMOs, we've studied it, everything's fine, doesn't cause any problems. They got away with saying GMO foods are safe by doing a study that lasted 150 days. Remember that, 150 days. They fed rats these GMO foods and they had no symptoms. They saw no negative changes in their health. What happened was that was the end of the study. After that, if they went much beyond 150 days, they started seeing things. We see tumors in other studies with these lab rats or these mice when we give them genetically modified grains and things like that. And so they knew that, and so they kept the study short, under 150 days. The exact study was reproduced and found that after 150 days, like I said, tumors were found. And they said, oh, well, that study was flawed. They did this, that, or the other thing. Think about this for a second. We're trying to determine, is this a neurotoxin? Is this going to cause a chronic disease? Is it going to lead to cancers? Is it going to lead to autoimmune conditions, autism, Alzheimer's, dementia? These are the sorts of things we're talking about. Saying that you studied it for 150 days and it was safe is like smoking cigarettes for 150 days and saying it didn't cause cancer. I hope that sinks in. I hope you all heard me. Saying that you studied something like genetically modified food, something you consume 3 times a day, multiple times a day we eat a meal. Well, we studied it for 150 days and nobody got sick. If I took 1,000 people who'd never smoked before and I gave them cigarettes, a couple of cigarettes a day for 150 days, chances are none of them would develop cancer. Chances are none of them would have a heart attack. Chances are none of them would have, some sort of autoimmune condition. Yet we know that it's linked to those things because it's the long-term effect. It's not the short term, it's the long term. It's the cumulative effect. Again, that term that I used earlier, bioaccumulation. It's the toxic buildup of these things. And so what specifically are we using? Roundup, glyphosate. More and more than we've ever seen. And here's the long story short, what glyphosate does, is we're starting to run out of time. Glyphosate kills eukaryotic cells. This is like a plant cell. So the argument is that glyphosate is safe because we spray it on crops and it kills weeds, not the crops, because it only affects eukaryotes, I'm saying that right? These little single-celled organisms. And humans are not that. We're not eukaryotes, so we're not affected by that. Here's the problem. Ready? Your gut bacteria is full of these single-celled organisms. Chock full of it, which is essential in things like digestion, nutrient absorption, immune function. They directly communicate with your nerve system to stimulate proper responses to the things that come into the body, whether there needs to be an immune response, whether we need to absorb nutrition, whether there's a cancer cell that shows up. All of these things are happening, and these single-celled organisms communicate with the body. It's called your gut flora, your gut bacteria. It's good for you. It's essential for normal function. Glyphosate, Roundup, when you consume it, kills that stuff. And this is why we have so many gut issues. This is why we have autoimmune conditions. And this stuff has literally infiltrated every aspect of our existence. This stuff's in our food. It's in our drinking water. There is research showing that because we spray this glyphosate, this Roundup on everything, that it's actually finding its way into our medication. Specifically, there are a handful of vaccines that we've seen Roundup, the active ingredient Roundup, glyphosate, we've seen it in there because it's getting everywhere, because it's in so many parts of our society, of our food supply and everything else, that it's actually, and then we're injecting that right into your bloodstream when you're a baby, the minute you're born. And so we've got to understand this stuff. We've got to really educate. So again, this isn't a vaccine talk. I've mentioned it a couple of times tonight, but you've got to understand what you're putting in your body and what you're putting in your children's bodies. They don't have a choice. They don't get a say. They don't get to say, Mommy and Daddy, I don't want to eat that. Mommy and Daddy, I don't want that medication. I don't want this drug or that drug. That's up to us as parents. So you've got to educate yourself and make sure that you are 100% confident you're making the right choices for yourself. So, quick side note here. I'll move this through this real quick. One of the other arguments as to why we use Roundup and all this stuff is we can't feed the world with organic food. I've had this argument repeatedly with family members back home who are in agriculture and so on and so forth. And I don't think I'll ever convince them, but the data just says they're flat out wrong. We could absolutely feed the world. Here we go. The U.S. has, let me get it here, 3.74 billion bushels of soybeans on reserve. This is as of the end of 2018. So this article was published March 2019. So as of a little over a year ago, we had 3.74 billion bushels of soybeans and 12 billion bushels of corn in reserve in the U.S., worth about $74.6 billion. in storage, sitting there, that can be turned into food. That's 46.3 bushels per person in the USA. We can feed a person for an entire year with 8 bushels of grain. So when you hear the argument that we have to genetically modify food, we have to spray this stuff on it, we have to do this to feed the world, it's garbage. It is a flat out lie. The people saying that don't actually understand the data. They don't know the numbers with which they're talking. And so the graph here shows how Roundup, let me get my mouse over here so you guys can see it. So the graph right here shows how all of these genetically engineered, genetically modified, these GMOs, the percentage of the crops which are now genetically modified. So here's the thing. We're in 2012, and we've got nearly 90% of all crops in the U.S. are now genetically modified, meaning they're no longer what we consider organic today. How the heck was anybody eating anything in 1995 if we had to have everything genetically modified? It doesn't make sense. That the stats don't make any sense, guys. So when you hear the argument that we have to do all of this in order to feed the world, just know that we've got we've got enough grain in the U.S. to feed the entire country for like 4 or 5 years, and it's just sitting there on reserve. So we don't need to do this. We don't need to be spraying our crops. And again, other countries, they don't want our crops. They don't want our grain. They're limiting GMOs. They're denying access of GMO crops being imported, etc. So just know that. And when we tell our patients, eat organic, eat clean, this is why. This is what we're talking about, because we know that it's not necessary and that it's toxic. It destroys your gut bacteria. It's neurotoxic. It wreaks havoc on your hormones and your immune system. So we want to get that stuff out. Again, real quick, World Health Organization calls glyphosate, which is the active ingredient in Roundup, a probable carcinogen. This was a few years ago, 2015. Since then, Monsanto, the producer of Roundup, has lost a multi-billion-dollar lawsuit because they proved it causes cancer, and they're getting taken to the woodshed on that. Which I'm sure they're going to fight it and all that other stuff. But anyway, it just goes to show you, like, it's happening. They're losing lawsuits. The World Health Organization is saying it. We've got to take action for ourselves, though, because, our FDA, our CDC, whoever the agricultural oversights are, they're not making these changes for us. So wrapping up here with healthy food for you guys, really simple. We want to eat real food. What does that look like? Eliminate genetically modified food. So look for organic options as much as possible. When it comes to your animal products, grass-fed, pasture-raised, free-range, these are the sorts of terminologies that we want to see on the labels. 100% grass-fed, 100% free-range, pasture-raised chicken and eggs, raw dairy products as much as possible, raw butter, raw cheeses. These are going to be the best things for you. We want to eliminate all sugars and refined carbs. Sugar is a toxin to the body. Very quickly, I'll prove it to you. If you eat too much sugar, you end up in a diabetic coma. You could die if they don't get you out of that quickly. So we've got to eliminate the sugars. That includes all simple refined carbohydrates, breads, pasta, rice, grains, basically of any sort. Remember, 90% of the grain in this country is genetically modified anyway, and you don't want that in your system. So get rid of the processed foods and the refined carbs. Get clean organic produce, fruits, vegetables, and animal products. And then clean up your oils. We want good, clean fats. So again, raw butter, olive oil, avocado oil, coconut oil versus vegetable oil, canola oil, etc. Get those things out. They are toxic. They will make you sick. So if you got questions about that, comment, ask questions, let us know. We can send you some more info or get you registered for one of our Nutrition 101 webinars. Or hopefully soon we'll be able to do some live seminars again. So as we wrap up here, I wanted to share this cool story. I'm going to blow this up for you guys. So this beautiful family right here, this is the Cerna family. And so that big guy there on the left, that's Julian. And Julian's got an amazing story, just ties into what we're talking about here tonight when it comes to toxicity and how these things affect your life. And so that's him with his lovely wife and those beautiful kids. That little guy in the middle there, that's Zayner. He's my little buddy. I love when he comes into the office, just chock full of energy. But I tell you, I love taking care of people, and I get to take care of this entire family. And taking care of mom and dad is awesome, but taking care of those 3 kids is just an absolute blessing to get to do that every single day here in the office, taking care of kiddos. And this is just one of our amazing families here. So Julian's story. So I've been taking care of the family for a little while at this time, and all of a sudden, Julian, he's a typical guy. He's a typical dad. He puts the family first. He's worried about working hard, paying the bills, doing the things that he's got to do, and kind of puts himself on the back burner and isn't coming in to get adjusted as often as he should, is kind of slacking on some of the healthy changes that mom's trying to have the family do around the house. And all of a sudden he starts having these new symptoms. So he has elevated liver enzymes. And so these are the words of Kristen when I asked her. Elevated liver enzymes that were outrageous. When he got his routine blood work, the liver enzymes were about 5 times as high as they're supposed to be. So they made him go back. He's a military veteran, so he had to go back to the VA, and they did every kind of blood work that you can think of to try and figure out why his liver enzymes were so high. They took like 15 vials of blood, and every test that they ran came back negative. Things like hepatitis. They made sure he wasn't, they didn't think it was alcoholic fatty liver or something like that. It wasn't cirrhosis. Every test that they ran, every scenario that they thought kept coming back negative, but his numbers were like crazy high. And so they almost made him go to the hospital and be admitted because they were literally worried about this being a life-threatening situation. And they told him that they really didn't have any great answers, but they said, we think it's fatty liver. I think you have fatty liver. That's the problem. Your liver enzymes are through the roof. Well, here's the thing. What does your liver do? It's your detox organ, right? Your liver is your detox organ. So if it becomes overworked and overwhelmed, it's going to start to deteriorate. It's going to start to fall apart. It's going to start to have problems. And that's what was happening. And so that's when Kristen came in and she said, I need your help. Here's what's going on. And so what we did was I said, look, if he's having these kind of issues with his liver, we've got to do a detox. And we've got to do a serious detox. Like we really got to get after this thing. And so we walked them through exactly what needed to be done. So we told Julian nutritionally, you got to start with a foundation of good nutrition. So we told him no sugars, no refined carbs. You've got to be eating organic, which luckily for all of us, including Julian, mom was in charge of the grocery shopping and a lot of the meal prep. So we got that going in the right direction before this conversation even started. But we had to really work to eliminate the carbs and the sugars because that causes a lot of stress on the body. And so we made some simple nutrition changes. We got him on the detox kit, which we showed you guys earlier. So the daily detox or the detox system, we got him going on that. And then we also wanted to give him some additional intensive nutrition support. So I told Kristen to get him on a smoothie every single day, which included one of our proteins. We have 5 different types of protein. And I will, I'm going to back out of here and show you post the link for you guys for the proteins in a little bit. We got him on a protein smoothie in the morning, and we included with that our Max Greens powder. And so it's just it's basically 2 servings of vegetables and a serving of fruit roughly per scoop. And so we put the protein, we put the Max Greens, we add some other things to that to make it taste good. And he did his detox kit. And he did that every day for 30 days. Again, changed up his diet a little bit. And he went back into his medical doctors and they ran more blood work and everything was better. His liver enzymes were better. His symptoms were better that had first took him into the doctor. And in Kristen's words, his doctor still doesn't understand what happened because all of a sudden his numbers dropped. His crazy 5 times the normal liver enzymes just dropped because we detoxed him, because we helped his body cleanse and got him off of all the junk that was being added into his system on a daily basis, at least from a nutrition standpoint. And his body started healing. And this is what you're designed to do. You're designed to be well. You're designed to heal. All we do at Max Living, all I focus on for my patients is removing interference. Well, lack of nutrients will interfere. High toxicity levels will interfere. And so we want to make sure that you guys have every opportunity to be healthy and well. And so I would encourage you, again, if you haven't started with the detox, then, or if you've never done one, you haven't ordered one yet, then get on it. So we've got the detox system there. We've got the kids detox powder. And then you can see there, we've got the different proteins, and we've got 5 different types of protein. I'm going to post the link here in just a second with all the different protein options. It's going to take you to that protein page, and then you can choose. Do you want plant protein for vegans and vegetarian option? It's a complete protein, so you're not going to be missing any essential amino acids like you are with many plant proteins. We've got our whey protein, our classic whey. It's grass-fed, 100% from grass-fed cows. We've got chocolate, we've got vanilla, and whey really gives you additional building blocks for glutathione, which is your body's natural detoxifier. So whey is a great option when it comes to detoxing. And then more recently, we've added into the mix up to our lineup our bone broth protein, which is from a flavor profile is my favorite. We've got our chocolate and our vanilla, very creamy, great for helping with gut health and just healing. So all great options there. So we want to give you guys the opportunity to get on that. Again, I posted the detox links earlier. I'm going to post the, right now I'm going to post the, let me jump over here. There we go. I'm going to post this link here. Give me a second, guys. I need to copy it because it didn't copy earlier. And I'm going to paste it in the comments here for you so that anybody that would like to get some of the protein, you can get this. So again, this is going to take you directly to the protein page where you can order your protein. So once you get into that page, guys, whether you go to the detox kit or the protein, you can search for the other things that you might need. So again, what did Julian do in recapping? He got on the detox kit. He got on protein, a protein smoothie, which included his max greens on a daily basis. So it's a scoop of the protein, a scoop of the greens. And then I would add in some other things, add in some berries, add in some organic peanut butter, or some sort of additional, whatever, chocolate or something like that. You know, play around with it. If you need help with recipes, let us know. We'll be happy to shoot you some of our favorite recipes. But once you get on the website there, you can go around. So again, you get the detox kit, at the bare minimum, get the detox kit. You can do that by itself, and it's phenomenal. It's very, very effective by itself. It's a great way to start. If you really know you need to cleanse and get your health moving in the right direction, then add in the smoothie every day with the protein and the greens. Don't forget about the kids. Make sure that you get the kids detox. If there's one thing that everyone did here today, I hope that you would get your kids detoxing or your grandkids detoxing. You know, let's not let them wind up where we are 10, 20, 30, 40 years from now. And now they're sitting through a webinar like this, wondering why they have an autoimmune condition, wondering why they have weight loss resistance. Let's get them started moving in the right direction. So I appreciate everybody being on here tonight. I love you guys. I hope that you learned something. Share this with people. The video will be on our Facebook page. It'll stay there so you guys can come back and rewatch it. You can comment and ask more questions, and you can share this with people that you love and care about. You can send them the link. You can tag them. You can share it with them. However that works for you in the social media land, do that. But make sure you get your products. If you've got questions, please ask. And again, reach out to our community partners. They've got great resources. You know, I don't have every resource personally, but I try and surround myself with the people that can bridge those gaps. And those wonderful ladies can do that for you, as well as Steve Cavazos with Salad Master. So again, hope you all have a blessed night. Look forward to seeing some questions and reading all your comments. And if you guys need anything, hit us up on our Facebook page. right here at Clairton Family Chiropractic. Ask your questions, comment, and we'll be happy to get back with you guys. Hope you all have a blessed night. We'll see you next time.